Welcome back, everyone. This is Randy with Modern Randy, and today I'm talking about another Pioneer deck here. Today we're talking about the Amalia combo deck, the deck that kind of has swept up and was a huge deal going into RC Atlanta way back when, and has now kind of made itself a home in Pioneer, has kind of nestled as one of the top, I would say, 3 or 4 decks in Pioneer, depending on how you're ranking them. But I thought I'd go over this, kind of get people prepared for the RCQ season that is currently going on. It should be popping off here in the next couple of weeks as we get stores actually doing their events. And just kind of go over this and what you can expect from this and why I think this might be one of the best decks to take to a tournament as well. I think it's a very well positioned deck now that we have a bunch of prowess slash like rule decks running around. We've seen, Slickshot show off has kind of made a real big name for itself, and I think a deck that is going to inherently gain life kind of helps you offset that a little bit, as well as it just being a very good deck against them. They have to kind of have a sideboard plan for this deck because of it. So I'm going to go over the cards today and kind of explain how this deck works in case, you've been living under a rock or haven't been paying attention to Pioneer, and kind of just go through it. So I'll go with the namesake card, Amalia. Here, she is a white and a black creature for a 2/2. She has a ward where you have to pay 3 life when you target her, and then whenever you gain life, she explores. So you'll look at the real top card of your library. If it's land, it goes into your hand. If it's a non-land permanent, then or non-land card, sorry, not permanent, but a non-land card, then you get a +1/+1 counter on Amalia, and you can choose to put that to your graveyard or leave it on top. And then, then destroy all the other creatures if her power is exactly 20. So she becomes, gets 18 counters on her. She board wipes all the creatures besides herself. So when you combine her with Wild Growth Walker, which is a staple back from Ixalan that was huge back in that standard format. So whenever a creature you control explores, you put +1/+1 counter on him, and you gain 3 life. So notably, you gain some life. You trigger a Spore trigger. You have Wild Growth Walker out here. You're going to put a +1/+1 counter on it because it's explored. You're going to gain 3 life. Thus, this lets you go infinite essentially until you destroy Wild Growth Walker. So basically, this allows you to get Amalia up to being a 20. It'll be a 21/21 by the time it's done over with because you get one last trigger after the blow up trigger. So we have Amalia plus Wild Growth Walker plus any kind of life gain equals big creature board wipe. So to help with that, we have Lunar Veteran. It's a whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Nice little 1/1, and then Prosperous Innkeeper as well. Creature treasure token comes into play, and then whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So that's kind of like your life gain enablers. And then we have 1 C Note Scout, which is just a 1/1 for 1 that explores. Basically, it's another low drop creature that allows you to help explore, to trigger the Wild Growth Walker, to trigger Amalia to go and blow up the board. So to go along with our cast of creatures here, it's our little combo package here. We have Extraction Specialist. Lets us get back a 2 or less card from our graveyard. Notably, all our combo pieces are 2 or less. This is one of those things. We have Sentinel the Nameless City. It's kind of a newer addition to the deck. People realize that sometimes you need to go down the aggro beatdown plan. Much like how Yawgmoth in Modern is a combo deck that can also just beat you down with creatures. That is the same thing with Amalia. You can do a lot of little chip damage and things like that with this deck. Notably, if you're playing against control and stuff, that's what you'll do most of the time. Is you'll chip in for a point here, chip in for a point there, and you're just going to kind of whittle them down. Also, notably, Sentinel creates a map token when it attacks or enters the battlefield. That's a way to help trigger Amalia as well, because you sacrifice the map, you get to explore. You can help combo off with that at a later turn. And then rounding out, we have 2 Deep Cavern Bat. If you play Standard at all, you know how good this card is. Basically just a way to help strip whatever your opponent is entering and get done with it. You also have 2 Selfless Sabers. Just a way to give our creatures indestructible by sacrificing a little pup. And we have 1 Skyclave Apparition in the main deck as our removal choice, basically. We also have Dina, Soulseeper. She's a 1/3 that whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Again, there's a lot of incidental life gain in this deck. She can do so much damage just from existing on the field. I can't tell you how many times I have played against this deck, and Dina has done me like 5+ damage because I had one removal spell in hand, and I couldn't waste it on Dina because I could kill Dina, and then they could just kill me the same turn, or they could just kill me next turn by playing Amalia and comboing off. So it was one of these weird things where like Dina slowly just drained me life and doing a whole bunch of BS things, and I'm like, well, he's done 5 damage this game, which isn't nothing, but I can't get rid of my one removal spell. And then we also have 2 return to ranks to bring back X creature cards with current mana cost value 2 or less from your graveyard. So you blow up the board. You get to explore a bunch. So when you're exploring, you're kind of looking for basically like one of 3 cards. You're looking for like a return to ranks, looking for a collected company, or you're looking for Aetherflux Reservoir. So the reason why Aetherflux Reservoir is such a good card, or such a big deal in this deck right now, or I guess probably not right now, but people have hinted about this in Atlanta, and then it's kind of become mainstream as like this is what you should be doing. So it's a 4-mana artifact, and it has whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Irrelevant text, 95% of that. The big thing about this is that you pay 50 life and deal 50 damage to any target. So Aetherflux Reservoir allows you to basically you're going to gain, on average, you gain anywhere to, I want to say 50 plus life with an Amalia combo when it goes off. So you're going to be sitting at close to like, usually you're sitting somewhere in between like 80 to 80 plus life. So you're exploring, you're revealing, because anytime you reveal land, just put a counter on Amalia. So you're still getting deeper into your deck with that as well as it still helps triggers Wild Gold Walker because you just explore, so you gain the 3 life. You can gain a lot of life if you just hit runner of like 10 lands. That didn't happen. It's kind of unreal. But with Aetherflux Reservoir, then, so you make a 23 Amalia. Next, you had to do it with Summon Sect, or you did it when it was able to attack the turn. They go, cool, I'm gonna kill it. I'll pay 3 life. Well, damn, what do I do now? Well, you have Aetherflux Reservoir on top of your deck. You can now just go next turn, slam Aetherflux Reservoir, and go, cool, I'm going to pay 50 life. I'm going to deal you 50 damage. I'll be at, 40 still. So that's what makes Aetherflux Reservoir such a big deal in this deck. So that's usually what you're going toward with Amalia. But if for some reason, let's say this is late game, you already went through Aetherflux Reservoir, they had a counter spell, this is the second time you're doing Amalia, whatever, then you're usually looking for a return to the range or collected company to either buy back your spells or things like that. And then obviously collected company, I don't need to explain why it's a good card. It helps find basically any of the cards you're looking for. You get to get 6 cards deep, take 2 of them. It could almost start the combo by itself, because obviously it's a 3-card combo. But we usually have one of our lifelink life gain triggers already in play, and then Chord Calling lets you go search for whatever piece you're missing, as well as it's a great little thing just to make Chord to go get Selfless Savior to save your Amalia, save your Wild Goat Walker, things like that. But this is the deck as a whole for the 60 you're looking at. Plays 22 lands. Notably, you're playing mostly just all the colors you can play. We do have just basically the only thing we have here for like utility lands are 2 Beseiju and 1 Takenuma, almost said the word, Takenuma, just to help rebuy a creature in the graveyard. But the deck is very solid. It's very compact. I wouldn't say we've almost figured out this 60. I will say. I know there's been a lot of things that people have been toying around with and such. I know Extraction Specialist has also been Fauna Shaman at times. There's still some things people are working out. Overall, though, I do think this is a great deck to take. I think it's a great deck that does well against pretty much everything but, I want to say, control, and control is definitely on the downswing as it currently sits, especially against all these hyper aggro decks. Like, when you're killing your opponent in turn 4, control doesn't feel so great, essentially. So I do like this deck. I think it's very well positioned, and then the sideboard here is just kind of more protection and things that we need to do, right? So we have 2 Fatal Push as just some more removal, along with Skyglade Apparition and 2 Get Lost is kind of like our whole removal package that we have in the sideboard. We have 1 Knight of Dust Shadow. This card is 100% just for the mirror match. So it's a 2/2 for 1 in the black, has Menace, and has your opponents can't gain life. That's the only line in text this card even remotely needs to have. because that just says that opponents can't combo off. Done. That's all you need. 100% there for just the yeah, like I just said. For the mirror match, we have Haywire Might here against Control. It helps you with being able to exile their artifacts or enchantments. Basically, the temporary lockdown is a huge blow to this deck because almost all our cards are 2 or less, so that just kind of board wipes us by itself. We have Tameo Safekeeping is just another way to protect our creatures and also gain life at instant speed. It's a great way where someone tries to kill your Amalia, or Wild Growth Walker or whatever, being able just to give it protection or gain life in response. Because I've definitely been on a couple different stacks where I go to kill Wild Growth Walker or something like that. They Tameo Safekeeping it. Or like they'll sacrifice their dog because usually you're trying to get rid of the dog. And so you'll have another removal spell, and then they'll take you to safekeeping, and you'll just like feel super blown out. It's a good card overall. Just helps with those super interactive matchups. And then we also have Thoughtseize for the combo matchups, things like that, when you just need to strip your opponent's hand, Lotus Field, things like that. Again, same thing with Cavern of Deep Cavern Bat. We also have Remorseful Cleric. This is for the Phoenix matchup, being able to nuke their graveyard, things like that. And then we have one Redain of the Worthy. So basically, he's here for the Control matchup as well. His back half is also decent against Black Red Sack. It says that you can't take any more, any kind of damage, you reduce it by 1. So it stops all their ping effects, things like that, because the ping becomes from 1 to 0. And then front half has non-creature spells your opponent's cast mana value 4 or greater, cost 2 more. So makes all their board wipes cost now 6 instead. Huge deal there. This is a great little 2/3 flying vigilance as well, so it gets around having to worry about their 4 mana planeswalker. The name escapes me right this second. But you know, you're not being able to exile it because it's never tapped. Things like that. Just a good little way. Control is your worst matchup for this deck, bar none. And I think now that Control has been on the downtick lately, this is probably the best time to play Amalia. It's just a great deck overall, and it does so much. It does so much, and it wins basically out of nowhere. Like, this deck is definitely something that you can look like you're in an okay position, and then the next thing you know, you're being board wiped, and they're up to 96 life. Like, well, I felt like I was good, but I do think this is a great deck to take. It's a great deck to learn. I also implore you, if you want to play this deck, or you think about playing this deck, definitely get some reps in. There's so many different lines and things to see. This is definitely just the Yawgmoth of Pioneers, what I would call it. It is a great little deck. It's fun to play. I had a lot of fun when I tested it for Atlanta. Ultimately, I decided not to play this deck, basically because I just didn't think that I was confident enough in it, and I thought that it was not figured out because it looked a lot different than it does now. I think we were playing 3 or 4 Return to the Ranks when I was playing. Aetherflux was not guaranteed in your deck, and there were some other things that were numbers were really off, things like that. But yeah, I do think that this is a great deck to play. I think it's well positioned now if you're going to be in a format that's going to be trying to burn you out and do a whole bunch of damage. Being able to gain just 1, 2, 5, 6 life a game is going to be huge moving forward, and just it can give you those tiny percent points of, well, my opponent had 15 points of damage and burn, but I gained an extra 6 life this turn or this game, so I was able to stabilize at 1, 2 life and then win with Amalia. Great deck. As always, guys, if you like what I'm doing, you like what you're seeing, give me a like, give me a follow, or give me a subscribe. Help my channel grow a little bit. I'm gonna be putting out videos, every Wednesday and Friday. But yeah, this is what I'm doing. Let me know how you guys are doing in your RCQs. Let me know what's going on there, and I'll see you guys next time.